I just got a question about listening comprehension, specifically about learning Dutch, but this will work for any language. So if you're having trouble with that, uh, listen to this, right? So the question was what to do when, if you already have a decent amount of vocabulary, uh, but you still can't understand the language when you hear it. This is a pretty common problem, and the solution is relatively simple. You basically need two things, maybe three things. Even if your vocabulary is decent, and this person said he knows around 4,000 words, if I remember correctly, which is already a decent vocabulary, but it's not enough. It's enough to communicate if you've been using language islands and you know a few thousand sentences, practical, useful, relevant sentences. You don't need that many words to be able to communicate. You can say things because the sentences that you will need to say don't contain that much vocabulary in terms of variety. But when it comes to comprehension, you will have to deal with a lot more words that weren't included in your language islands. So you'll need to learn more words. So what I recommend you do is take the massive list of sentences and start learning it. How to know if you've got enough vocab? Can you read this fast and understand it without checking the English? If you can read this fast, not just like you slowly, okay, I know that one, not sure. No, you can read through the text fast without ever checking the English, and you understand everything. If you're not there, then you need to do a lot more reading. Take these lines and read it as fast as you can from start to finish, again and again. Normally, I recommend reading, and I know this is going to sound extremely boring, but this list of 15,000 sentences, read it from start to finish 10 times. It sounds like torture, but again, if you read it twice from start to finish, the third time and the fourth time, it'll be much faster. It'll look boring, but it'll be much, much faster because you'll be able to do it much more easily and faster. So, yeah, 10 times from start to finish. Yeah. If you struggle to read it from start to finish even once, because you constantly have to stop and check the vocab and all that, or you can't read very fast in the language. Of course, you will struggle with spoken language. Reading is generally easier than listening. So if you can't read fast, you probably can't understand spoken language. So a lot more reading of this. Memorize the words that you don't know, and just read it from start to finish again and again until you can read it really fast without having to check anything, and you understand everything instantly when you read it. That's piece of advice number one. Piece of advice number two is obviously a lot of listening. Just find native content, podcast, things like that, and play it in the background every single day while you do something else, while you work out, while you, I don't know, commute, whatever. You listen to it, and if you just do that, if you just listen to it, you will slowly improve just by listening to it. Like if you listen to podcasts by Dutch people for Dutch people, not about learning Dutch, but just about the news or whatever, every day for an hour for a month, you will understand way more at the end of the month. But if you really want to speed up the process, you need to combine both. So you take the list, you read it from start to finish again and again, faster and faster and faster, and checking fewer and fewer of the words because it will get easier, and also you'll get just used to the grammar by doing this, and then listening. You could also listen to this. Uh, you could do 50-50 of you could divide your listening time in 50% of these sentences on a playlist and 50% of real life content. But if you want to understand real life content, just I recommend just listening to real life content, and and just read this because yeah, reading is faster than listening if you can do it well. And once you know enough of these sentences, like you can read them fast enough, and you can go through the text just without thinking too much. Like once you can listen, once you can read this way faster than people speak, and if you're decent at reading, you can read way. You should be able to read way faster than what people speak. Then listening will be much easier. Again, this is the pronunciation aspect of it, and you need to get used to the right pronunciation. Right? If you don't know the correct pronunciation of certain words, then obviously you won't understand them. But you'll get used to that by just listening to it more and more and more. But that's it. Learn more sentences, learn more words, and then listen. Do those two things together daily, and not together. Like do one and then do the other. Don't do them at the same time. But you could do them at the same time. Actually, you could play the audio file of this in 1.25, 1.5 double speed while reading, so you get used to listening really fast to that. But because it's text to speech, it's never exactly like real people, and I recommend you mostly listen to real people if you go to understand people in real life, right? So this mostly read, just read and read and read until you know all of them.